Who's seen any of the movies Diary of a Wimpy Kid? You two, oh, lots of you did. And those who were parents who went along, I'm sure you enjoyed it just as much. It's so funny. Any of you read the books? I hear the books always better. There we go, yeah, good. This movie is so funny because in a way we see ourselves in the story. Family doing life together and doing silly things, making mistakes, and then when they make mistakes, sometimes they try and lie their way out of those mistakes. You know, we say you tell a fib. Who knows what that means? Know what it means to tell a fib? It means to tell a lie. I think that's Australian for lying. So at Grace Church we teach Australian as well, not just English. And fib is another word for lying. What I like about this Diary of a Wimpy Kid is that they are also a Christian family, because in the movie they go to church as well. And of course things go wrong at church, but it's a typical Christian family that experience life as we all do. Now if this family came to Grace Church, I would preach this sermon that I'm preaching today, because they tell a lot of lies and it gets them in a lot of trouble. So I want to help them to not get into that much trouble. And kids, if you're here today, this is going to help you to also not get into trouble, and even for us adults. You know that one of the 10 commandments of God is that we shall not lie, we shall not give false testimony. And I want to reflect on that today. Who knows who this lady is? Yeah, oh, some of you kids know as well. That's Judge Judy. Now I think if I ever ran into her, I'll start telling truth just straight away. Because I think she can smell a lie a mile off. But if you hear the words, do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? What do you think of? Yeah? What scene? What setting do you think of? A court. Where there's a judge, there's a witness bench, and there's a jury. We think of a courtroom scene. And a person who goes to court, who's called to bear witness, is going to give his testimony or be a witness in court, would sit in the witness box, and they are sworn in to only tell the truth. And if they told a lie or left out some of the truth, they'd be in a lot of trouble. But the word witness is also found in the Bible. In Acts 1 verse 8, Jesus said to his disciples and to us, "You will be my witnesses in all the world. You will tell people, show people the glory of God, and share with them the good news, the gospel." So if we are witnesses, if you think of a courtroom, then it's fair to ask, who's the jury? Who are the people that are listening in to judge our testimony? It would be fair to say that it's the world. It's our neighbors, the work colleagues, people we do life with. They are weighing the evidence of what we believe. They might not believe it themselves, might not even like it, might not agree with it, but they are weighing how we live out that truth that we believe in. Another Australian word for you. Have you ever heard of the word fair dinkum? Anyone? Fair dinkum means the genuine article. So you go home today and practice fair dinkum. You'll impress your Australian friends if if they tell you a story and you just say fair dinkum. Just means wow, that's the truth. That's the real truth. And in that sense, being a witness for God means that we have got to be fair dinkum Christians. We've got to be the real thing. That's what God called us to do. One church had a little skit that some of the young people performed, and it portrayed a courtroom scene with different characters. And see if you can spot the play on words. The judge was, "I seek the truth." The prosecuting attorney was, "I'm confused." The defendant was Billy Venn. And the defense attorney was Fern the Standing. Hope you got that. You see, in this scene that they were portraying in the church, this play, there was a witness, and he had to give an account of his faith. He's got to bear testimony to what he believes in. And as Christians, the irony is that in the courtroom, a person in court would get into the box, and when it's over, they get out of the witness box. But we live 24/7, always in the witness box, because we have always giving an account of our faith, of what we believe in. People are always watching us. And Christianity is not just Sundays, it's every day of the week. So most of us here, we are believing Christians. And I pray that today we will be encouraged to be the true thing, the real thing in this world. Because how we do everyday life without saying much, just how we do it, people read that. And we bear testimony to the truth of the God we believe in. Now, once I went to school many, many years ago, and I did a devotion for them. So at break time, they said, all right, if you want to come to the Christian organization, you come, and Joe's a student pastor, he's going to speak to you. And I brought a big bag with grapes inside of it, big blue, round, full grapes. And when I lifted it out of the bag, you could still see the fresh water dripping off it. And I said to these hungry school students, you can all have one or two of these grapes and pass it around and have a grape. And everyone's like, yeah, that looks great, I'll have one. But as soon as the first person took the grapes, they went, oh no. And he passed on the second guy, and he's, oh no. And so forth it went, because it was plastic. Actually nicked it off my mother-in-law's table. She has this plastic display thing, fruit bowl, beautiful, looks so real, but it's not real. And if Christians, if we are fake, people would not smell the aroma of Christ in us. They would be disappointed, thinking, well, oh, you're a Christian, I thought you guys live differently than us who are in the world. We have got to be the real thing. In Ephesians 4, we are reminded of that. This is from the Message translations, Ephesians 4:25. It says, no more lies, no more pretending. Tell each other the truth. In Christ's body, we're all connected to each other, after all. When you lie to others, you end up lying to yourself. So Scripture is clear that that's one of the 10 Commandments, and all over the passages in the Bible we find this thing that God expects us to be a truthful people. And even when He sent His Son Jesus, Jesus lived a life that we should follow His example. He's our role model. And He was the real deal. He was always truthful. Isaiah 53:9 says, there was no deceit in Him. Jesus was honest. His every word accurate. He never cheated. He simply told the truth. And He's the perfect representation of what truth is. You could say He's truth incarnate. And now God says to us as Christians, though we are sinful and though we miss it and we make mistakes, we are to stop living in a sinful way. And when Paul writes this to the Ephesians, he's not writing to people who are far from God that they should stop lying. He's writing to the church. And he says, church, now that you've become Christ followers, stop living in a way that the world lives. Stop doing things of the old sinful nature. You have got to learn a new way of living, a godly way. Ephesians 4:22 says, put off the old self. Think of someone that had dirty rags, garments, and they take them off. And they put on a new garment of righteousness. Verse 25 in the NIV says, therefore each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully. So God is not just telling us as Christians, hey, lie a little bit less. Tell a bit more truth. He's saying, no, don't lie, speak the truth. And if you speak the truth, that's not a license to say, trample on people. You know, like saying, well, Joe, you're fat. I know that's truth, but be gracious as well. Truth will mean that in the way that I live, I speak truth and I live truthfully. Psalm 101, verse 7. God speaks. But no one who traffics in lies gets a job with me. I have no patience with liars. Again, that's the Message translation, a modern day version of the Bible. Have you ever wondered why God takes such a hard line on truth telling? Why is it one of the 10 commandments? I mean, that's the big 10. Why is truth telling right up there with it? I believe it's because dishonesty is absolutely contrary to the character of God. The Hebrews 6:18, Titus 1:2 tell us it's impossible for God to lie. He cannot lie. It's not in His nature. But on the other hand, Satan, finds it impossible to tell the truth. Jesus calls him the father of lies. And yet, even as Christians, we feel the pressure to bend truth, to tell a lie. Why do we do that? Well, maybe you felt the pressure of wanting to avoid a consequence. Wanting to avoid responsibilities that if I fess up, that yep, I made that mistake, then I've got to deal with it. And sometimes we might lie to make ourselves look good, to project an image that's actually different from what we really are. In the Old Testament, Jeremiah put it right when he said, the heart of us all is deceitful above all else. The bottom line is, truth-telling is not always comfortable, it's not popular, it's not easy, and yet God says to us, I want you to be truthful people. Now kids, who's this guy? Who can tell me who this guy is? Yes, young man. Pinocchio, that is right. And you notice he's got a long nose. You know why? No? Oh, well, who knows? Let's see. Yes, there's someone over there, yes? Because he lies so much. And the more he lies, the more his nose grows. Now, luckily for us, our nose don't grow when we lie. That would have been embarrassing. I would have had a long nose many times. But this guy, in this fairy tale, his nose grows when he lies. So he's got an obvious flaw. Just as a bonus question, who knows what movie this is from? Yes? Shrek. It's from Shrek. I love that movie. It's so funny. Well, I want to tell you another funny story. A wife is on a business trip in Europe. She calls her husband at home and after a while says, hey, how's my cat? I love my cat. How's the cat? She asks. Well, the husband gets to the point and says, the cat's dead. Whoa. She said, did you have to be so blatantly honest? Why didn't you break the news to me slowly? You've just ruined my trip, she said. What do you mean? The husband said, I've just told you the truth. Well, she said, you could have told me, when I asked you, how's the cat? You should have said the cat's on the roof. And when I call you from England, you can say, well, the cat's acting sluggish. When I call you from Paris, then maybe you can say that the cat's looking a bit sick. And then I'll call you from Singapore. You can say, well, the cat's at the vet. And then when I get home, you could have said, the cat's dead. Break the news to me slowly. Well, us men, we learn lessons and we get the message. And he said, oh, honey, I'm sorry. I'll do better next time. How's mom? She says, oh, well, she says, mom's on the roof. He got the big picture. Now that's funny. Truth-telling is hard. Truth-telling is hard. And you've got to tell truth with grace. Don't be blunt about it. Some years ago, my daughter, who's now 16, she was 9 years old. My son, at the time, would have been 6. Shanae came to me, she was crying. She said, Daddy, Joel bit me. She had a bite mark in her arm. And I thought, man, where's that young man? I said, Joel, come here. And I'm calling him to account. And I said, Joel, why did you bite your sister? And he says, I didn't bite her. So I took her arm. I said, that's your teeth imprint on her arm. And he says, it was an accident. So I said, listen, you don't bite someone by accident. So he says, well, all right. And I remember this, it was so cute. He said, oh, okay, do you want the truth? I said, yes, I want the truth. He says, my brain told me to do it. So I had to figure out how to punish his brain. I could have smacked his bottom because his bottom had nothing to do with this whole affair. It was his brain. And we laugh at that, but truth-telling is hard. It's so hard. You have pressure to not tell the truth. And sometimes we think it's the easier way. Do you know what? If, like me, you've been there, done that, tried it, you learn lying is much harder.